You step into a teleportation booth. The door seals behind you with a hiss that sounds too final. A screen counts down. 3, 2, 1. The scanner activates, mapping every atom in your body with perfect precision. Every neuron firing in your brain. Every scar tissue carrying a memory. Every cell containing the blueprint of what you call yourself. Then, in a fraction of a second, the machine disassembles you. Completely. Your body breaks down into constituent particles. You cease to exist in this location 3,000 kilometers away. Another machine receives your data. It rebuilds you, atom by atom, perfectly identical. The person who steps out on the other side is all your memories, your personality, your fears, your unfinished thoughts. That person believes they are you. Everyone who knows you confirms they are you. But here is the question that philosophers cannot answer and scientists cannot ignore. Did you just travel 3,000 kilometers? Or did you die in the first booth while someone else, someone who happens to be exactly like you, woke up in a second? Teleportation exists in science fiction as convenience. Press a button, disappear here, appear there. But the physics required for this miracle reveals something horrifying about identity. Because if you want to transport matter across space without physically moving it, you need to do two things. First, scan the original. Second, destroy it. Otherwise, you have duplication, not transportation. And duplication creates a problem that tears apart everything we believe about consciousness. Imagine the machine scans you, but does not immediately destroy the original. For 5 seconds, two versions of you exist. One in the departure booth, one in the arrival booth. Both have identical memories of stepping into the machine. Both believe they are the real you. Both feel the continuity of consciousness that makes you certain you are the same person who woke up this morning. Now, the machine destroys the original as programmed. The version in the arrival booth continues living your life. Did the person who died in the departure booth consent to their own execution? Or did they believe they were about to travel? This is not science fiction philosophy. This is a real question about what identity means when consciousness can be mapped, copied, and instantiated elsewhere. Because if a perfect copy of you is functionally indistinguishable from you, if that copy has unbroken subjective continuity, if everyone treats that copy as you, then what makes the original version special? What makes it actually you instead of just another copy that happens to have chronological priority? The teleportation paradox forces us to answer a question we have avoided since humans started asking who we are. Is identity tied to the specific matter that composes us? Or is identity the pattern, the information, the arrangement of matter that creates consciousness? And if identity is just pattern, then copying the pattern means copying you, which means destroying the original is murder. Even if a perfect replacement immediately takes your place. Your body replaces its cells constantly. Skin cells last week's. Red blood cells last month's. Most cells in your body are replaced within 7 to 10 years. The atoms that composed your body a decade ago are gone, scattered, incorporated into other structures. Yet you still consider yourself the same person you were 10 years ago. You have continuity of memory, continuity of consciousness, but not continuity of matter. This is the ship of Theseus paradox applied to human identity. The ancient Greeks told a story of Theseus, the hero who sailed to Crete and back. His ship was preserved in Athens for centuries. As wooden planks rotted, they were replaced with new wood. Eventually, every single original plank was gone. Philosophers asked, is it still the same ship? And if you took all the discarded original planks and rebuilt the ship from them, which one is the real ship of Theseus? Your body is that ship. But unlike a ship, you have consciousness observing the gradual replacement. Your subjective experience creates the illusion of continuity. You remember yesterday. You feel like the same person. But the matter composing your brain right now is not the same matter that composed it when you formed your earliest memories. So what exactly is continuous? What thread connects the child you were to the adult you are, if not the physical substance of your body? Some argue consciousness itself is the thread, that the stream of awareness, unbroken from moment to moment, is what creates identity. You go to sleep every night. Consciousness ceases. 8 hours pass. You wake up. Are you the same person? You feel like you are because memory bridges the gap. But what if memory is not enough? What if the unbroken physical continuity of your brain, even while unconscious, is what preserves identity. Here is where teleportation becomes existentially terrifying. Because teleportation does not preserve physical continuity. It explicitly breaks it. Your body is disassembled. For a fraction of a second, you do not exist anywhere. Then a new body is assembled elsewhere from different atoms arranged in the same pattern. That body has your memories, but it does not have continuous existence with your original body. There is a gap, a moment of non-existence. Imagine a modified version of teleportation that works like this. Instead of destroying the original immediately, the machine creates the copy first, then waits 1 hour before destroying the original. During that hour, both versions exist. The copy walks out of the arrival booth, calls your family, goes home, resumes your life. The original sits in the departure booth, knowing they will be terminated in 59 minutes. That original version has all your memories, feels exactly like you, but they are about to die. And the copy who takes their place will never know the difference. Would you step into that machine? Most people instinctively recoil, because when forced to watch yourself die while a copy takes your place, the horror becomes obvious. But instantaneous teleportation hides this horror behind speed. If the destruction and creation happen simultaneously, we can pretend it is continuity. We can tell ourselves the person who arrives is the same person who departed. But philosophically, nothing changes. The gap still exists. Death still occurs. A copy still replaces you. The physicist Parfit proposed a thought experiment that makes this even more disturbing. Imagine a teleportation device with a malfunction. It creates the copy successfully, but fails to destroy the original. Now, two versions of you exist. Both have equal claim to being you. Both have your memories up to the moment of teleportation. If one must be killed to resolve the duplication, which one dies? The original has chronological priority, but the copy was supposed to be you. If identity is just pattern and memory, both are equally you. So killing either one is killing you. Now imagine the original version volunteering to be destroyed to fix the error. Are they committing suicide? Or sacrificing themselves for a person they recognize as having equal claim to their identity? And how does the surviving copy feel, knowing their existence required their other self to die? Do they inherit guilt, trauma? Or do they simply continue living, grateful for existence, with no moral weight attached to the death that enabled their life? What makes you certain you are the same person who started reading this script? You have memories of earlier moments. You feel a thread of awareness connecting past and present. But memory can be false, implanted, manipulated. Neuroscientists have created false memories in test subjects, making them remember events that never happened. If memory is unreliable, what else grounds identity? Continuity of consciousness seems like the answer. Your awareness persists from moment to moment. But consciousness itself is not continuous. You lose consciousness every time you sleep. You lose consciousness under anesthesia. Deep dreamless sleep creates hours where you effectively do not exist as an experiencing subject. Yet you consider yourself the same person who fell asleep. Why? Because your brain maintains physical continuity even while unconscious. The neurons, the synaptic connections, the patterns of activation that create your sense of self, they persist. Teleportation severs that physical continuity. Even if the reconstruction is perfect, even if every neural connection is replicated exactly, the matter itself is different. New atoms arranged in the same pattern. Is that enough? Functionalism in philosophy argues yes. Functionalism says identity is not about the substrate, the physical stuff. Identity is about the functional organization. If a system performs the same functions, has the same causal relationships between parts, then it is the same system regardless of what it is made from. By functionalist logic, a perfect copy of your brain is you because it functions identically. It produces the same thoughts, the same emotions, the same sense of self. The copy has subjective continuity because from its perspective, nothing changed. It remembers entering the teleportation booth. It experiences arrival as direct continuation. No gap. No discontinuity. Therefore, teleportation does not kill you. It relocates you by relocating the pattern that is you. But here is the problem that functionalism cannot escape. If pattern is all that matters, then multiple instantiations of that pattern are all equally you. Suppose a teleportation malfunction creates 5 copies instead of 1. All 5 have your memories. All 5 experience subjective continuity. All 5 believe they are you. If you accept that any one of them is you, you must accept that all 5 are you. But 5 separate bodies cannot share one identity. They will immediately begin diverging, having different experiences, forming different memories. Within minutes, they become 5 different people who share a common origin. So which one is the real you? The first one created. The one spatially closest to where you started? Do we hold a vote? The question becomes absurd because it exposes the fundamental issue. Functionalism conflates qualitative identity with numerical identity. 5 copies are qualitatively identical to you and to each other. But they are not numerically identical. They are 5 distinct entities. Killing 4 of them to resolve the duplication is killing 4 people, even if those people happen to be copies of you. This brings us to the most disturbing version of the paradox: gradual teleportation. Instead of disassembling you all at once, imagine a machine that replaces one neuron at a time. It scans a neuron, destroys it, and instantiates a replacement neuron in the arrival location, then moves to the next neuron. This process takes hours. At what point during the transfer do you stop existing in the departure booth and start existing in the arrival booth? When half your brain has been transferred? When 75% has been moved? Is there a moment where you simultaneously exist partially in both locations? And here is the truly terrifying question. If you could remain conscious during gradual teleportation, at what point would your subjective experience shift from one location to the other? Would there be a sudden discontinuity, a moment where you feel yourself die in one place and wake in another? Or would your consciousness gradually fade in one location while strengthening in the other, creating a transitional period where you experience both bodies simultaneously? If this sounds like it makes you uncomfortable, that discomfort is the correct response. Subscribe to this channel if you appreciate that some questions should make you uncomfortable. Because the teleportation paradox is not really about teleportation. It is about whether consciousness and identity can survive any kind of discontinuity. And if they cannot, then what are we? The philosopher Thomas Nagel argued that subjective experience, what he called what it is like to be something, is not reducible to functional patterns. There is something it is like to be you that cannot be captured by scanning your brain and replicating its structure. That subjective, first-person perspective is tied to the continuous physical existence of your brain. Break that continuity, and you break the thread of identity. The copy that results might be functionally identical, but it is not you. It is a new person with your memories who mistakenly believes they are you. Suppose teleportation technology becomes real and commonplace. Billions of people use it daily, completely unaware that each use kills them and replaces them with a copy. From the perspective of everyone involved, nothing seems wrong. The copies have continuity of memory, continuity of relationships, continuity of goals and desires. Society functions. No one reports feeling like they died and were replaced. Is this a moral catastrophe or a semantic confusion? One ethical framework says if no one suffers, no harm occurs. The person who steps into the booth expects to arrive at the destination. The person who steps out has exactly that experience. Subjectively, the teleportation worked as promised. Objectively, an individual ceased to exist and a new individual with identical properties came into being. But if the new individual is functionally indistinguishable from the original, including having the same subjective sense of continuity, then what has been lost? Personal identity theorists would argue that what has been lost is the most important thing, continued existence of the original person. Even if a replacement is perfect, even if that replacement feels like you, lives your life, fulfills your responsibilities, the original you is dead. And death matters even if replaced seamlessly. Because identity is not just about external function or even internal experience. It is about the persistent existence of a particular subjective experience. Here is a version of the paradox that clarifies the stakes. Imagine a teleportation company offers you a choice. Option 1. Standard teleportation. You are scanned, destroyed, and rebuilt elsewhere. Option 2. Non-destructive scanning. They scan you, create a copy at the destination, but leave you alive in the departure booth. However, after the copy is created, the original must immediately commit suicide to prevent duplication. Most people would reject option 2. Because it makes explicit what standard teleportation hides. You are required to kill yourself so your copy can live. But if you accept standard teleportation, you are accepting exactly the same outcome. The only difference is who pulls the trigger. In option 2, you choose to die. In option 1, the machine does it for you. But either way, you die and someone else who thinks they are you continues your life. The transporter paradox intersects with questions about cryogenic preservation and mind uploading. If you freeze someone who is dying, planning to revive them centuries later when medicine advances, are you preserving that person or creating conditions for a future copy? If you upload someone's mind to a computer, creating a digital consciousness with all their memories, is that person immortal or dead with a simulation replacing them? These questions matter because technology is moving toward making them practical rather than theoretical. Neural interfaces advance. Brain scanning achieves higher resolution. Artificial intelligence approaches human cognitive capabilities. Within decades, mind uploading might be possible. And the same philosophical problems that plague teleportation will determine whether uploaded minds are people or just sophisticated recordings. Some philosophers argue we are already copies. That the person you were yesterday died last night, and the person you are today is a new individual who inherited yesterday's memories. If you accept this, then teleportation is no different from normal existence. We are constantly dying and being replaced by slightly modified versions of ourselves. Teleportation just makes the process more obvious, but this argument fails because it confuses the gradual replacement of cells with the complete destruction and reconstruction of the whole. Your brain maintains continuous operation even as individual neurons are replaced. Synaptic patterns persist. Neural pathways remain active. There is no moment where you stop existing. Teleportation creates that moment. It introduces a gap in existence that normal cellular replacement never does. So would you use a teleporter? Would you step into a booth knowing that what emerges on the other side is a copy, even if that copy has all your memories and feels like unbroken continuation? Or would you refuse, insisting on continuous physical existence, even if it means slower travel, higher costs, more inconvenience? Your answer reveals what you believe identity actually is. If you would use the teleporter, you believe identity is pattern, information, functional organization. The substrate does not matter as long as the pattern continues. If you refuse the teleporter, you believe identity is tied to continuous physical existence, that you are not just a pattern that can be copied and reinstantiated. You are a particular unique subject whose existence matters independent of whether perfect copies exist. Neither answer is obviously correct, and that is what makes the teleportation paradox genuinely profound. It exposes an uncertainty at the heart of human existence. We do not know what we are. We do not know if consciousness survives disruption. We do not know if the thread of identity requires continuous matter or just continuous information. We assume continuity because our subjective experience feels continuous. But that feeling might be an illusion created by memory. Every morning you wake up and assume you are the same person who went to sleep. But what if you are not? What if the person who fell asleep last night died, and you are a new consciousness that inherited their memories? You would never know. Because from your perspective, you have continuity. You remember going to sleep. You experience waking up as direct continuation. But objectively, there might have been a gap, a moment of non-existence. And the person you are now might be a replacement for someone who no longer exists. The teleportation paradox is terrifying because it makes this uncertainty impossible to ignore. It takes the question we can pretend does not apply to normal life and makes it explicit, unavoidable, urgent. If you step into that booth, will you arrive at the destination? Or will you die, replaced by someone who believes they survived? If you reach the end of this without certainty, if you found yourself questioning what identity actually means, if you realize that consciousness might be more fragile and less continuous than you assumed, share this. Because the teleportation paradox is not about futuristic technology. It is about the terrifying possibility that we do not know what we are. That identity might be an illusion. That the self we cling to might be nothing more than a pattern temporarily instantiated in matter, no more permanent than a wave on the ocean. You cannot escape this question. Because whether or not teleportation is ever invented, you will fall asleep tonight. And when you wake up tomorrow, you will assume you are the same person. But you will never know for certain. You will never be able to prove it. And the teleportation paradox ensures you will never stop wondering.